Mark Caputo blows the whistle on Politico. The fake used to be kind of right-leaning, center-leaning place. Now it became a pro-Biden rag, and he blows the whistle on him. You guys may not know who he is, but it influenced the election. Huge on their blanket misinformation, promoting and blocking for Biden, and then attacking Trump. We're going to watch this together because this is very good stuff. Very informative on this one. I'll just bring it up right now. Welcome. Oh, wait a minute. Welcome to the Doug TenNapel channel. Thank you guys for watching and subscribing. If you make it all the way to the end, good little boy and girl, my people, you're helping this channel. As I'm freezing, wearing my wife's scarf to keep my turkey neck from freezing. Let's go. This is his Twitter, the Kanakoa, the great, who really is great, Kanakoa, the great Twitter feed. Breaking: former Politico reporters Mark Caputo and Tara Palmieri reveal their previous employer blocked negative stories about Joe Biden, Hunter Biden, and the infamous Biden laptop. Is anyone surprised? Caputo disclosed. Now, we'll get into his video, so I don't need to go over that quote here. He also recounted that in 2019, a rival Democratic presidential campaign provided him with opposition research on Hunter Biden's tax lien during his tenure at Burisma. So they all knew. Caputo wrote a story highlighting that the former vice president's son was slapped with a big tax lien when he worked for the controversial Ukrainian energy company, which is hunting his father on the campaign trail, unquote. That is, they knew all the way back in 2017. That story was killed by the editors, and they gave no explanation for that either. This is why nobody trusts the legacy media. Not only that, guys, I have actually I use Politico all the time on this channel to show what the media is doing. So you're already informed if you're watching this. Here's Tara Palmieri's show.
Another great example, when Politico did that terrible, ill-fated headline. 51 intelligence agents or former intelligence agents say that the Hunter Biden laptop was disinformation,
right?
Or bore the hallmarks of disinformation. Turns out that story was closer to disinformation because the Hunter Biden laptop appeared to be true.
But then Facebook also pulled all stories down about the Hunter Biden laptop, and I think Twitter did at the same time too.
Correct.
Yeah.
So that's back when Twitter was not under Elon Musk's reign. It was under Jack Dorsey. But Mark Zuckerberg at Facebook pulled all the laptop. That's one of the ones that Mark Zuckerberg got pressure from the Biden administration, FBI, and all that to not perform this stuff. And he later confessed it. He's one of the few that actually went public with it. But Politico was already pulling full-blown misinformation, even back then. And they were the actual misinformation. Remember, this is the third time we've mentioned this today. 51 intelligence agents who now have these are the same 51 who all have their security clearance pulled just yesterday by Trump. He pulled all of their security clearance. Panetta was one of them, John Bolton. So all of these guys that came out and said the Hunter Biden laptop was Russian disinformation and probably not true, they all lost their security clearance. That means they can't spy on you and me. A lot of them don't get as much security detail and all that. So Trump's already taken care of that problem.
Yeah. They punished the New York Post. It didn't help. I mean, Politico, my former employer, and I knew at the time, didn't do itself any favors. I was covering Biden at the time, and I remember coming to my editor and saying, hey, we need to write about the Hunter Biden laptop. And I was told this came from on high at Politico. Don't write about the laptop, don't talk about the laptop, don't tweet about the laptop. And the only thing Politico wound up writing was that piece that called it disinformation, which charitably could be called misinformation at the least.
So this is what bugs me is Politico can't claim ignorance because they actually had an article written by this guy, Caputo. He wrote them the article with all the information. They had it on their desk and they chose not to run it. Now, what is journalism? They keep saying we're the fourth branch and all this. We keep the government at bay. They were the disinformation. Politico, their brand is, it should be criminal, but it's very hard to prosecute people on speech for lying. They had the story. They could have run with it. Mark Zuckerberg killed the New York Post story, just wiped it off would not allow it on their algorithm. It's as if it was a terrorist manifesto or something is how they treated it. That's how these tech companies are. They get things wrong. And no apology, no public retraction from Politico. That's why we're doing this news segment on them. I'm exposing the living daylights out of them. Let's keep going.
Yeah, I mean, I had a hard time. I wrote some pretty serious reporting on Hunter Biden, which actually ended up getting him prosecuted, the story on the gun.
Yeah, and I remember you consulted with me because you did the original report on the gun. And you came to me like, how do I write about this? I'm like, honestly, I don't know.
Because it was hard to get it done.
You figured it out. Yeah.
I spent three months on it. I went to the laptop shop and I did all of the reporting in Delaware, and I did all of that. But yeah, it had to be like it had to be 100% nailed down.
Compared to all their facts that they go with on Trump don't have to be 100% nailed down. By the way, what she exposed was she found on that laptop, there's a picture of Hunter with a pistol. He was a felon, druggie, tax evader, so he was not supposed to be able to have a firearm. But he had this thing, right? And then when he needed to ditch it, his brother's widowed wife, Hunter Biden's brother died of a brain whatever, and he got her addicted to crack. And she had to throw the gun away, and she just threw it into a dumpster right near a schoolyard. And that's where they ended up finding the gun. So she exposed that story. And Politico, and that ended up being what Hunter got prosecuted by Biden's own Department of Justice because he was so sloppy and they had to pretend to still be anti-gun.
I had everything, the police reports, I'm a solid reporter, but I do wonder if it would have been published a little quicker. If it was a different type of story.
Well, since we're spilling tea about our former employer, I still have a copy of the story on my external hard drive. In 2019, a rival presidential Democratic campaign of Joe Biden's gave to me the tax lien, the Oppo research, the tax lien on Hunter Biden for the period of time that he worked at Burisma.
So that's opposition research. That is anyone that was running against Hunter Biden in 2019. That could be Kamala Harris, could be Elizabeth Warren. There was that one guy named, I think, Castro was another one of the VP. It might be Bernie Sanders, but all of them were lined up. They had their opposition research where they all knew that Hunter Biden had a tax lien on his money because he cheated taxes. That's the $4 million in taxes he didn't pay. They all knew it. And this guy wrote the story, presents it to Politico.
And I wrote what would have been a classic story saying, the former vice president's son was slapped with a big tax lien for the period of time that he worked for this controversial Ukrainian oil concern or natural gas concern, which is haunting his father on the campaign trail. That story was killed by the editors, and they gave no explanation for that either.
Interesting.
So that general experience, obviously the public doesn't know about those things, but as a reporter, having witnessed the way in which the two candidates
we just get called like the terrible mainstream media. It's like you don't understand the process there.
We also don't understand the dumb decision of cowardly editors.
The man above us when we're trying to do our jobs. You know what I mean? We're just looking for scoops, man.
The big bias is toward a good story.
Your big boss at Politico despises the truth, despises news, and had to carry Joe Biden's water, and that's why they are just worthless as a source of truth. I'm not carrying anyone's water. I don't sink stories. I'm Doug in exile.